there's been a lot of concern about whether or not the U.S. is going into a recession. And you can tell a lot about what's going on out there in the U.S. economy by listening in on the earnings reports and even just seeing the charts from some companies that are going to have exposure if a recession is imminent or if we're in one. So these are 5 of the companies that are reporting this week that if you're interested in what's going on with the U.S. economy, you might want to tune in because they're going to give us some clues as to what's really going on out there, and we might be able to figure out a little bit better about whether or not a recession is coming sooner than we thought. So let's take a look and see which areas you might want to be watching to see if there's a recession and what their earnings charts actually look like. So let's dive right in. The first one is on the rails. Now, several of the railroads are reporting this week. CSX will kick it off, then we're going to get Kansas City Southern and Union Pacific. Now, Kansas City Southern is one of the few railroads that actually has rails down in Mexico. So this is an interesting one that if you're interested in what's going on with trade and what's happening across the border and what might happen if there is some kind of shutdown at the border or any of that, then this is one you're going to want to tune in. Also, because the rails are telling us a lot about what's going on with U.S. demand, because companies like this will ship autos, chemicals, agriculture, all of that. So the rails are a great barometer. I could have used UNP here too, Union Pacific, but either one reports this week. They're all great. Tune into one to find out. Now, Kansas City Southern has a few misses in there, more than some of the others do, but you can see the shares are up off those lows from 2018 as well. And it looks like they might want to break out here, at least a multi-year, not quite a 5-year, but several year high. So let's see what happens with the rails. Then United Rentals. Now, I've talked about this one in the past. I own it in my own personal portfolio. They only have that one miss back in 2016, so they're pretty good at meeting or beating here. But United Rentals is the largest rental tool company in North America. So a lot of their tools are used in construction, and you'll see them on construction sites, even with the name on the side. And they have some like energy exposure. And so if you want to know what's going on with some of these big projects like hotels, casinos, things like that, even apartment buildings, then this is one to tune in. They'll tell you what demand is. And so this is going to be a key one to watch. But as I said, like everything else, they're bouncing off those 2018 lows, but they're well off the highs there of the 5-year highs. So this is a very good one to watch for recession issues. Then we're going to switch over to a bank, Bank OZK, formerly known as Bank of the Ozarks. They only have that one miss 2 quarters ago, but that was a doozy because they actually had to take a write-off on a couple of their investments, which they haven't done for years and years, over a decade. And they're really well known for being very good at their underwriting and not getting into something that could cause them to have some problems with things like having to write it off. So that was a little bit of a shock. You can see the shares just really tank there at the end of 2018. Back up off those lows, but nowhere near the highs. They invest in a lot of big apartment buildings, condominiums outside of the Ozarks. Here in Chicago, they're one of the bigger lenders. So this is one, if you're concerned about what's going on the housing side and some of that kind of lending, you're really going to want to tune in here to hear what they have to say and what they're seeing, because that's a big part of the economy now too. So this is a real good one on the banking side. And then we're going to switch over to the industrials. Like I said, this whole week you can basically see what's going on with the U.S. economy just by following these companies and listening in on their conference calls. So Honeywell, one of the beasts, I like to call it, just that one miss in 2016. So great track record of at least meeting, if not beating, all these quarters. And Honeywell is basically in everything. If you ever take a look at their website, they're in aerospace, they have energy exposure, they're in buildings, and there's safety, like just basically everything. What this chart is telling me is that people thinking we're back on track here because really big bounce off those lows and not quite a breakout yet, but can we get one after this earnings report? This is what I'm going to be watching. So again, if you want to tune in to find out what's going on the big manufacturing and industrial side of the U.S. economy. This is kind of like one-stop shopping here for what's going on there. And then I'm going to pick a little bit of a dark horse here with Pool Corp reporting also this week. They are coming off a miss, so they've had a couple misses in the last couple quarters. Is that because things are slowing down? I don't know, but they're the biggest pool equipment distributor in the world. And so every country that sells pools and where you have to maintain them, the landscaping, the irrigation, outdoor living, all of that, they sell and supply all of these products. So do you need a pool? Not necessarily, but when things are going well, you will buy one, especially in places like Florida, Texas, Australia. Like, these are places where if you got some extra cash, you're going to buy. So hence the chart. When you got a strong global economy, this company is doing well. When there's a slowdown, maybe not so well, but shares are off those lows. So this is one you might want to tune in if you want to know more globally what's going on with the U.S. consumer, because pool sales can tell you a lot. Like I said, this week's kind of exciting because we get like these little tidbits of the U.S. and partially the global economy in a lot of these reports. And I do encourage everyone to listen in on those conference calls. I know you really don't want to, but they're only an hour, and you can be surprised at what you find out just by tuning in. So don't just read the transcripts, get on there on those calls if you can, because you can learn a lot, and you don't have to listen to it live. You can listen to it after they record it, because they're usually up on the websites now almost instantaneously, like within an hour of them reporting, they have the recording already up on there. So definitely tune in and listen in and check out some of these charts and what's going on with these companies, because we're getting, right into the heart of earnings season the next couple of weeks. There's going to be a lot to listen in on, but you can tell a lot about what's going on out there just by tuning in. So don't miss a single one of these videos. I'm giving you some clues here so you can invest better during this earnings season, and I'll be having all of the fantastic charts, some of the ones that aren't so great, all the hot names. We have more of the FANG coming up. We've only had the N on Netflix. We're getting the rest of the FANG in the next couple of weeks. Don't miss a single one of these episodes. You can get it on Zacks.com/YouTube or on Zacks.com. You can find them too, and I'll be tweeting them out as well as the Zacks account. So be sure to listen in, and I'll be back again next week with more earnings charts, of course.